everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I'm here today to show you where we are with the Curiosa journals. So there are, I think, 10 of them altogether. Maybe a caveat to that, maybe one more, we'll see. I'm thinking about something. And I am about to bind the final journal, so I thought I would share with you the process of doing that. So I have here this big stack of 7 signatures, and I changed my mind several times about how many signatures I wanted to include and how, and that can kind of vary for me. Sometimes I go with a lot, sometimes I go with a few. It all sort of depends on the profile of the book and the type of ephemera and the type of pages I've created. So 7 is the number for this one. So I have here already my spine that I've created. I've got the top already sorted out. I've got a T there. I've got my 7 holes across it. You'll see that initially I wanted to do 8, but I changed my mind. So how I create my spines is with, this is some of my rust dyed eco printed cotton fabric, and it is stitched around the edges here onto the actual spine itself. And so this spine is pretty much almost good to go, except that it's going to be it's going to need a couple of touches here before we go a lot further, and that's just to add a backing on the spine because it's going to be hidden hollow back. So I need to just wait for my glue to come to the bottom. I just got to do bottle glue, but it's somewhere other than where I am right now, so I'm just going to be a little patient and wait for this glue to come to the bottom. But I'll probably grab the other one in a moment because I don't want to have to wait. So I'm just going to add glue up at the top here. And then also at the bottom, same thing, about 1 inch of glue on the back side of the spine. Then I have this coffee dyed lace right here. I'm going to measure 2 bits across. Sorry if you can hear my family running around like crazy upstairs. They're having breakfast and watching cartoons, and that's usually a bit of a noisy process. So there we go. We're just backing that back side of the spine so that like you don't see the card. I mean, not that it's ugly or anything, it's just, it is what it is. So I'm just gonna let that dry, and meanwhile I'm gonna go and grab my glue. I'll be right back. Okay, so that's mostly dry. Now let's go ahead and create our template for preparing signatures. So I'm just going to take just a regular piece of paper, make it about the same size as the spine itself. Tear off the excess. Then we will fold this in half. Okay, I'm just going to move the book cover out of the way for a minute. Alright, so this is the top. We'll just lay this here for a minute, and we'll mark our holes. Turn this around, poke, poke, and poke. There we go. Now we have our template. So this can just sit over here for a moment. I just want to get everything out of my way that I don't need at the moment so things aren't clanging and banging around, because if you followed me for a while, you know it kind of makes me like a little stressed to deal with banging, clanging sounds all the time. It's true. Okay. So now I'll grab my signatures here, and I'm going to start with the last signature and just put the other ones aside. Out of here. Now just head into the middle of the signature, which is here. tuck in any ephemera, anything that's in the center there, and just grab my 4 big clothespins, paper clips, which I'm so excited. So for a while I lost one of these big paper clips, and I don't know what the size of these paper clips are, but they're the perfect size for me. I love them. They're like maybe 2 inches long. I don't like the great big ones like this because they scratch your paper. Even if you sand them, they can still be a little scratchy, and I don't particularly feel like sanding a paper clip forever. So yeah, but I found it. It fell under my desk and it fell under my button tin. So I was so happy to find it when I cleaned under my desk the other day. And then when I was sorting out all of my metal goods, I found that I actually have 2 more of them. So yay. Okay, so there's our template. Make sure that you're the right side up. You got your T toward the top and you're good to go. You're in the center there. So you can just hang on to this, pop your paper piercer through, and what I do is I leave it in the center, and then I do a little spin move there to keep the template in place exactly where I need it to be. And then I do my last poke. That's that. And then we're ready to bind. So I'm going to use this dark burgundy binding floss because, I don't know, I always feel like I want something that matches the front of the book, and for me this does. It's just like those little touches that kind of are important to me. Like, I don't know why, but they are. Okay, so we go 3 times the length of the page, the signature. And then we will go ahead and thread the needle. Leave a nice tail so you don't lose it. I start in the center, and today I'm doing a 3 needle binding, or sorry, a 3 hole binding. Make sure you've got the top. Yep, that's the top. I start at the back. So the last hole for me, 2, 4, 6, 7. Yes, this one. Okay. Then I go into the next hole at the bottom. And I just kind of, it's hard to show you on camera, but I look underneath at where my hole is on my signature. Flip that over there. Go ahead up back through your top hole and into your last hole. Then come back over. And you just make sure that you're all lined up, right? You don't want to be going into the wrong holes. Okay. So now we've got this threaded through, and I just like to kind of even them out a little. Give it a nice little pull, not enough to, like, you know, cinch in your paper, but just enough to make it nice and tight. And I do switch directions at least once when I'm tying these, and I tie them 3 times, and then I come back and I trim because I'm not planning to have a bunch of charms at the bottom here. And then we will slide these off. This nice flat signature, and then flop it over, give it a press, and we're good to go for the next one. So here's the next one. Repeat the same process again. I'm not going to speed through this because I feel like I often don't bind on camera. So I don't know. You know what's really funny? A lot of people get stressed about like their binding process. It's actually become one of my favorite parts. I don't even know why. I find it like I enjoy it. It's just because like the book feels like it's coming into my control a little bit more. At this stage, the pages aren't going to be flopping all over the place. They're going to be tied in, and that makes me feel good because I'm ready to go on to that next stage soon of like the finishing. So go ahead and thread our needle. Then I wanted to add a little, I've been adding these little accents of masking tape in certain places like this. I just want to, there's a little tiny crease in the paper there I want to cover, and also I just love how it looks with this Curiosa theme. It's just, I don't know, I've been adding them in little places too, like little things here and there that I just feel like it looks cool. I'll be putting a whole story together about these books when I post them, which will be coming soon. I mean, I know it's not in time for the holidays, but you know, art takes time. And I'm sorry, my kids are being so loud right now. I think they're playing with something that's like a contentious toy that both of them want to play with. And when they have to take turns, it's a really fun negotiation process for my husband upstairs and me when I'm there. A 4-year-old's learning to share. It's Curiosa on its own. Okay, so next, signature. Back through the back, back through the back. Okay, I'm going to even those out. Just trim those a little. Down. And I like to kind of immediately rethread my needle because then I'm ready to go. And I have a magnet here, it's sort of right above my head in front of me, that I'm hanging the thread from. So you can probably see it in the bottom of the screen there, that you see the bottom of the thread. It's actually the needle hanging from my magnet. So now the third signature. Just get in here and sort the height of all of our papers, make sure everything is where it is. So I'm going to pull that one up a little because it's sort of hanging at the bottom. That's good. Okay, make sure we're right side up. Yep, right side up. Back to our template here. Evening it from end to end so that we get our holes in the very middle where we want them. Start at the top, in the middle, do our little loop-de-loop here, and then the last one. And then my needle, of course, is handy right here. Just making sure again that you're the right side up. You would not want to sew this in upside down. I'm in the hole at the back. And I use the table to help me push that heavy needle through so I'm not like so hard on my hands. I try to think a lot about how every part of my body feels when I'm working. I try to feel, are my shoulders loose? You know, are my hands hurting from anything I'm doing? Because I try to think about like just, you know, how am I doing? It's the longevity of your craft, right? You want to take care of your body. All right, that's that one done. Now we're moving on to what will be the center signature, which is number 4. So again, let's thread our needle. Okay, this signature. Just go on inside and take a quick look. Open everything up. There we go. There are so many fun things in these books. So like, they're all different. Some of them have a few similar things. There's maybe There's like maybe 2 or 3 different things that are like the same identical like piece of ephemera that I've put in some of the books, but not all of them. But even then, they've been prepared in a different way. So no part of these are alike in any way, if you're wondering. And there's all sorts of really cool old like invoices and like old documents, old cabinet cards and pictures, all sorts of great things. So I'm really excited to see them finally coming together. They've been based around a really cool Curiosa book, which is great. So let's go in here with number 4. Through the back hole. Now this one's a little tricky just because it's got this plastic at the back. Just gotta locate the hole at the front and then I'll see. There it is. Okay. Now with this one, because it's at the center, I'm going to keep the string, once I even it out here, I'm going to keep it long. And I'll show you why here. Switch directions, tie and tie again. And I'm going to keep this long and I'm going to put it out the top rather than the bottom. And that's because I want to use it kind of like a marker for the middle, and it's going to have something tied to it on the outside of the book, which I'll show you. Okay, let's rethread our needle here. There we go, up and out of the way. We're more than halfway done. Okay. Template. Okay. And then this one, oops. Through the back. Okay. Oops, and I stitched through my thread, so I'm just going to separate those like that again. That happens from time to time. It's very easy to resolve. Give it a nice tug. Okay. Clips off again. And we thread the needle again. We got 2 to go. 1, 2, 3. I have a busy day today. My daughter has swimming and skating, her usual crazy sporting day. And then we're going to see the new Studio Ghibli film, The Boy and the Dragonfly, I believe it's called. I'm very excited for that. Oh, there's our worm man from the movie Freaked, which is a great film if you've never seen it. It's really good. Very funny, very iconic, kind of a cult film. Oh, okay. I did a video where I made him, I think it was a Tuesday 10, where I probably scared off a few of you, but for you noble sorts that stick with me here, I appreciate you. Even for those of you who just kind of shrug and go, I'll see you next video. That's okay too. All right, there we go. What's going on back here? I see, my page needs to get tugged a little. There we go. This wasn't in the clip properly. So we do a little poke. Loop to loop. Second last one. Leave a decent long tail. Sorry, sometimes I have to pull this toward me because it can be hard to see what I'm doing if I'm too far from myself at times. Okay. Oops, I think we stitched. Yeah, we did. So see here, I've stitched through them again accidentally. So I'm just going to pull them apart. Just slide that back out of that inside that thread, and you'll be fine. You don't want to leave them like that because you'll never get a nice tight good knot in the center there. You'll never get that knot if they are stitched through each other. It's just not going to happen. So you want to fix that up. Okay. One more to go. Let's rethread our needle. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And our template again. And 1, 2, 3. Now save those templates because I use them for later. I actually use 2 of those templates. I keep the one from the last book and I use that one for when I get to the gluing stage, and I'll show you why. So let's get this last one in, same as the others. Okay. Two, 3, and trim. All right, we're done with the clips. Put them on my magnet above my head here. Okay, and then just kind of give your spine a little massage. Just press your book a little. And there we go. This is what you've got now. Okay. Just trim off these excess threads that are hanging around. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to trim off this excess fabric I've got hanging around the top and bottom. So I'm going to go like a little closer, not all the way, but just a little closer, like that. And you can choose to leave it on if you want, especially at the top if you want to have like more and you want to fringe it, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, so now on to the part that I don't enjoy the most, but is necessary, which is the gluing it in the book stage. So we gotta get our book back over here. And I'm going to be using Fabri-Tac for this. I think it's probably the strongest glue for this particular thing we do. I just really enjoy using it. So I start here on one side. Then I go to the edge of my fabric here. Now this is a nice strong cotton that has been mordanted. It's a good firm, good fabric. You want to use a nice fabric. Preferably if you have one that is both thin and strong, that's the best. And I'll show you why later. You come down the other side and to the edge of the fabric again. Back up, and then again, and a few more lines on the fabric itself. Okay. Now, set this aside. And we want to make sure we are right side up, which is this away. Good, good. Now I come in and I kind of glide. I glide into the center, like so. And I give a nice, good press into that center. Then we come down. I don't know what that device is talking about, if you can hear it, but every now and then it just does its own thing. So then I come in with this old card and I pull the fabric and I flatten it down onto the book. This is why I say I like a thin, strong fabric, because I want to get in there, down on that edge, give that a good press and a nice clean pull. So you've got a flat, nice fabric there. Then you flip the book around and you do the same thing. You get right in there, nice clean pull into that shoulder. Okay, good. Now I pick it up and I take a look at how my spine is sitting. You should see it seated quite nicely there, okay, on both ends. Perfect. So now, why did I keep these? Because I use them to protect my page from the glue that happens when we do this. So just another tug. Sorry, I held the book a little funny. I got to give it another tug. And this happens, it's fine. Not a big deal. Pull, pull. Okay, that's good. Now, I stick my piece of paper in here and it protects the paper from the glue that's on this fabric, okay? So I do that on both sides. That's why I have the template from my last book handy. Just pop it right in the crease. Then give it a nice squeeze, and I just let it rest for a little bit. I just let it rest. I check out my corners and make sure they look good. If they don't, I take like some kind of a tool like this and I just go in and I make sure my spine is fully seated the way I want it to be. And then I go in to my very center, my signatures, and I just take my hand, pull it a little closer to my body, and I will press my spine against the book just to make sure it's doing exactly what I want. That I want it seated in there really nicely. I just grab all the pages, give them a good push. Okay, Yeah, it's all sitting how I like it to. So now I'll just give it a little break. It's just gonna have just a moment, and then I will prepare the other things. So I'll get my supplies and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so the rest of my supplies, I've got eyelets, some nice bias tape. This will be for the closure. I would have chosen either a pink, or not a pink, probably a red, maybe a gold, or probably a burgundy or like a dark green. And I went with this dark green because I just think it's gonna go nicely with the cover. So those will be for the closure. We'll set them aside. And then I've got this old invoice. This is a 1935 Guelph Motor Car Company invoice. So we're gonna fold that up into the folds that it originally was in. As so. And then I have this really lovely Manchester, Iowa cabinet card. No date on it, but I would assume early 1900s. Then it's time for the end papers. So that's just some supply chatter. You're going to see all those things come into play. But right now what I need to do is open up my book. And I can remove this front piece, which, see, we didn't get any glue everywhere. It's all in the back of here. And there's not that much of it because I didn't go wild with the glue. That's one thing. Now, the innards of this book should be, I think, 9 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I always remeasure because old books can sometimes be quite uneven and crooked. But I'm going to go with that measurement, I think. And I think, do I want to go 5? Yeah, 5 1/2. Yep. So let's do that. We'll set the book aside here. I've got these two papers. These are both Tim Holtz papers from the Halloween 2023, actually, collection of his paper. And I'm selecting one page for the front and one page for the back. And I make sure that I like how they look with the page that it's beside. So we'll just trim these down to size. So we go to 9 1/4. And again, 5 1/2. Get the guillotine out of here. And then we'll come in with the Vintage Photo Distress ink. I like to ink up the edges of my end papers. I think it always gives a much nicer look to do so. And I kind of, the way I ink, I kind of come down on an angle so I ink the edge and the front of the paper. It just has a certain look to it that I like. It looks more natural or something, rather than kind of doing this and you get those circles. It also kind of just, I don't know, like it tames the paper a little bit around the edges, which makes it a little nicer when you're gluing it down, that it's not so rigid. Things that are kind of hard to explain, but like you get it when you make enough books, and it all kind of makes sense eventually. There we go. So that's inked. Then pop that aside. All right, so this is going to be the one for the front. So we'll go into the front first. Now, I often will do Fabri-Tac on this side and art glitter glue over on this side, but today I'm going to use Fabri-Tac across the whole thing because there's really no, I don't think there's any real difference, to be honest. They both are good glues that hold well, and for a paper to paper application. Oh, one thing I wanted to do though, right on this edge here, sorry, I'll show it to you in a sec. I just want to shove a little Fabri-Tac underneath the masking tape because I've got these really heavy brads that are holding this guy on the front of this book. This is actually a door knocker and it's made from cast iron. So this is a heavy book, but I absolutely love it. And I mean, it inspired this. This was one of the inspirations for this collection, I have to admit. So we'll go around the edge here. Hand got wiggly for a minute there. Like I was just holding my wrist funny. Do you ever do that? It's like all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, what's going on with my hand? It's like you just make your nerve feel weird in your arm because you hold your wrist at a weird angle. Okay, there we go. Now we flip and lay it down. Now I want to try to go more toward this outer edge on this book than what I normally would. And that's because I've got a brad right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm sorry if I'm kind of off camera. Hold on one second. I'll show it to you once I get this clip on. I'll explain why my process is a little specialized here. Okay, so usually I go a little further from the edge with my paper than this, but right where I've got that clip that I'm going to leave there for a bit, I actually have the edge of my large brad there, and I don't want it to pull my paper up. So I have now pressed around. I press from the outside in because it pushes the glue toward the inside rather than having it bleed outward at me. Because this glue, Fabri-Tac, can be kind of shiny, which isn't too big of a deal. And you can like kind of rub it off and it will, excess glue will rub off. So I just give this like a little rub, almost till like there's a bit of heat there, like a bit of hand heat, because then I know I've really gotten this down. Then, where'd my card go? Here it is. Then I'll kind of do the same with the card to just capture any bubbles that could occur under this paper, okay? I don't want this to be bubbly. So I'm going to leave this in place because I need it to really, really just do its thing. So then I'll flip the book carefully here and we'll remove this other paper. See here, that little bit of stickiness. This itself isn't sticky, but I'm glad I had it there or else I would have had that rough glue on this back page. So then do the same thing with this back one. This one's a little easier because there's nothing on the back cover that I have to worry about, like the back side of a brad or anything. So I do a lot of lines of glue, but not super thick, because that will be easy for me to work with. So, okay, you'll see on the back here, see I'm a little further away. This is more typical. I typically want to line up with where the end paper is in the book. That's a little more typical in my process. I'm going to go around all four edges, pressing inward. All right, and then we'll do our little hand heat up. Let's push that a little. There we go. You don't want to get too vigorous, so you move your paper. But Fabri-Tac's very forgiving. It gives you more time than like a art glitter glue. I mean, you still don't want to move it around in ways you don't want too much. Okay, so that's nice and clean now. Okay. Now we'll come back to the front. Still going to leave my clip in place. Now my next decision is how I'm going to put my inside ephemera in. So I've got this. These books are all going to start the same way with a vintage cabinet card and a vintage document inside. So I need to decide, do I want it on this side or on the outer side? So let me just look at my page. put everything away that I don't need so I'm not like knocking everything over. Okay, so there's this option, this option. I like the outer option. So, oh, that's down nice. Okay, yeah, that's good. Perfect. So now we can go ahead and glue this in. So just glue that on. Okay. And then again, I'm going to just put my clip on here. And I used art glitter glue by accident. I used Fabri-Tac. I usually use art glitter glue for this, just to speed things up. They're both strong glues, but art glitter glue would have been right away. That's okay though. And then I think while I'm waiting for it, I'm just going to come with a bit of my ink and just kind of ink the edge of my cabinet card a little, especially over this, so it will show up better. You see that? Manchester, Iowa. And then I gotta wait until I take my clip off to finish it, but yeah, I like that better. It just kind of mellows it down. Move my clip. Put my clip back. All right. And then I think what I want to do, just because I'm being a little extra today, is I'm going to take my big paper clip, 1 and 2. And this is just about training thick paper, right? I want this to stay in place no matter what. So we're going to keep those clips on there. Then while that's doing its thing, I can decide where I want to put my hole so I can put my eyelet in to be able to close this book. So my punch is here. And I think I want to actually go right in this little spot here or down there. I think, yeah, that little spot is, I think, the sweet spot. Now, this might stress you out a little because this is a thick book. So what I got to do is I got to wiggle this and push it to get it right where I want it to be. And I might have to pull this back a little more or use my other, yeah, I think I'm going to have to use my other hole maker. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so this is why you invest in the Big Bite, because sometimes you really just need help with getting in and doing what you're trying to do here. So, make sure it's lined up. Yeah, okay. Sorry if I can't really show you exactly what's going on here, but this is a tricky process. Now I gotta line up my hole with where I want it to be. So there's like a window on the bottom of here. I don't know if you can see this, but it's right beside the foot that says this on off. So you can actually see exactly where your hole is going to be. And I want it as close to the applique as possible so I can get as much space in there as possible. So I think I'm in the right spot here. Okay. Big bite. Whew. This was by far the hardest one that I've had to do out of all these books. So I'll put my clip back on because I still want this to just be held because the glue is not fully dry yet. But yeah, that's why you get this bad boy, because he does not play. Now we can put our eyelet in the front. Push, push. And then we can get this guy to squeeze our eyelet in. Oh, there we go. Eyelet is in. Okay. And don't stress if you get a bit of like bending and stuff. I'll show you why it doesn't matter in a moment. Just give me a moment. Like you might get little scuffs there, but don't worry because it does not matter. Now just line up your hole on the other side with where this one was, right here. I might be able to do that one with this. Why bother? I'll use the big bite again. It's easier. Let's put that away for a moment. So if you ever wonder, you know, why my books take so long or why they cost what they do, this is why, because it's quite a process. So go in here. Okay. You gotta bite this. Okay. That's my exercise for this hour. All right, now, again, come around. Other eyelet. Okay. Yep, those are good. Other eyelet goes in here. Whoops, whoops. Okay, doesn't want to go. So what I do in this case is I'll just put the eyelet on the crocodile. Move this out of the way. There we go. There. And squeeze. And we're in. Perfect. Whew. Okay, so next step is we need to get our seam binding here. And I want a nice long length. Now some of these, I try to slip knot them through if I can, but sometimes they're too wide. And because these are all vintage, I always have to kind of go with what I can get. Sometimes they're thin enough to get a nice slip knot, but other times I just have to do like 2 tied knots. And I think I'm gonna have to do that with this one. I always do try to make the honest effort to like slip knot it, but okay, I have pliers now, so let's go ahead and give this another try. I think I can take this clip off now. I'm just gonna see if I can push this through with pliers and pull it. I don't think so. I'm going to just do a single layer because this is a little too thick to double up, I think, and I don't want to like push it too much. Just kind of push this through here. There we go. Sorry, it's a little fumbly. Okay, and then another thing that I'd like to do is just get these clips all off now. Got to be careful, we don't want to gouge. These clips can be a little tricky. There we go. All right, those are off. Now this. Just pull that evenly, and then we're going to tie a couple of knots. 1 and 2. And I don't know, I like to tie like a squared knot so it has like a nice kind of look to it. Okay, so that's that one. Now I'll take my invoice here and pop it in the pocket now that the pocket's good and secured. Okay, then this side, need the other one of these. Okay. A little more. I always go a little longer than I think I'm going to need because then you've got lots to tie with. Let's just do the same thing. Sort of tie this squared knot twice. Move all this out of the way. Okay, so now what I would like to do is take those two long pieces that we left behind here. I'll go ahead and I'll tie this closed now. Stand it up. We'll see. I want to trim a little off of these because they're a little bit long. I just do it on an angle so it looks like a nice bow. And they're not hanging everywhere when the book is tied up. Now I need something that I want to tie on here, and I'm doing sort of a Curiosa theme. So let me grab my bit. Okay, so I've got her. This is a woodcut. And it's made by a shop called Pork Chop Show on Etsy. I don't know if Scotty, the owner, still has his shop on Etsy or not, because I believe he went to a brick and mortar store, so he may still have it, but there may not be much stock there. So I had been buying like laser printed woodcuts from him for many years because they're really cool, and he does all different like themes, and they're all kind of like limited edition. And this one was like a Curiosa kind of theme. It has all sorts of fun dolls and bottles and all sorts of neat stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to thread the end of my string here, put the doll on here, then I'll grab the two together. I'm just going to make like a couple slip knots. Like just tie the strings together a couple of times. I'll show this to you. I know it's a little hard to see the way that I've got it. And then I'm just going to trim it. Take this excess green that I've got left over and throw it in my scraps here. Then we'll trim this. Okay. On the most part, this book, here we go, see her? Here she is. There she is. So this book is on the most part finished. I have a few steps to go. So for all of the books, I'm going to go into the back of them and I'm going to add my wax seal and my signature. And then I've just got to do like a once over where I go through the whole book. I make sure that everything is, has enough ephemera, that everything is fitting properly, that there's nothing that's glued funny or that's messed up in any way, or if I forgot to stuff a pocket, that kind of thing. So that's what's left now. And the thing about these journals that they don't have a lot sticking out of them like lace and things. I didn't want to make them lacy or particularly feminine. I wanted to stick with a Curiosa theme that didn't have any kind of a gender sort of angle to it, right? Because I often have men who say, hey, like, are you making, some books that don't have laces? And so these won't have laces really. Maybe the only lace you'll find will be in some of them, it'll be up in the spine here to kind of cover that hidden spine. So yeah, that was my little kind of finishing video for one of the Curiosa books. I am so excited to get these done. I just love this bottle opener so much. It's so fun. It has such a nice, this book is so heavy. It has such a nice feel in the hands, and this always feels kind of cold because it's cast iron, so I kind of love that about it. Anyways, you'll be seeing more of these soon. My plan for these books is obviously get them finished. Then I've got to do all the photography and all of the, maybe some videos and stuff, like little shorty ones for social media. And then I've got to take down all the details, the pages, the sizes, the so on, the so forth, and then start creating listings. But I will be releasing these initially on my Patreon. I believe this one may already be spoken for, this specific one. I think someone has fallen in love with the cover. We'll see. But yeah, they will go to Patreon first, and then I will put them on Etsy and I will share on social media when all of that is. I'm doing my best to get them done, so it will be relatively soon. So just keep your eyes on my social media, which is all linked down below. And if you are interested in having early notification about all of my journals, that is one perk of all tiers of my Patreon. Outside of that, I hope you have an awesome day, and thank you for hanging out with me. I had fun working on this book. Bye for now.